are about dogma, and that's the golden fleece that I see at the end of this. If that makes sense.
Well, and and the things that the things that we're teaching, these children are applicable throughout their lives, and they're also applicable no matter what religious background they have. They don't have to be Satanists to believe in these things. This is to benefit people in general. I mean, you want your kids thinking critically. You want them to, question the things that they maybe deem incorrect and try to find the answers, and have a really good understanding about, how the world functions around them, and have a, clear understanding of that. And I think anybody, no matter their background or, whatever their deeply held beliefs are, those things can be completely interwoven. So we're not teaching kids things that they shouldn't know. I had somebody ask me the other day, actually. I was asked, what the curriculum was and what kind of things we're teaching. So I told them. And the follow-up question to that was, well, as a Christian parent, why should I let my kid join this and learn all these things? And I thought that was a really weird question, because it said to me that these things that that we're saying, they're good things, but because it's Satan Club, all of a sudden they're bad things, and because you're a Christian, you think these are bad. And not because you're a Christian, I shouldn't say that, but the question was, as a Christian parent, why should I allow my children to be a part of this? So I think what we're, the materials of which we are teaching and offering, they're not objectionable. It's having to go over the hurdle of, just the idea of Satan, because we do call it After Satan Club, because we are being very upfront about who's teaching it. We're a group of Satanists offering this, and we didn't feel the need to call it anything else, or to make it more palatable to people who would suggest, maybe calling it a science club or an atheist club. So it's, we'd be hiding or being disingenuous if we called it anything else. So.
Right. Now, kind of switching from the After School Satan Club, we've had the first week of President Trump. And we actually saw some photos and stuff of the Satanic Temple participating in marches around the country last Saturday.
Fucking awesome.
Which we totally support, because civic engagement of any type at this point in time is much better than what we've had in the past. Now,
well, I should clarify. Sorry, I should clarify that our members, or at least anyone presenting official TSC, they were not participating in anti-Trump rallies. They were participating in the women's marches and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is the women's marches. I think we saw pictures of the Seattle chapter that was marching with the women. Here in Phoenix, we had over 20,000 people show up at the Capitol to march. Just a huge amount. I mean, Washington, D.C. was estimating 200,000. They broke 500,000. And it's good to see that people can come together regardless of faith or lack thereof, or ideology, party affiliation, stuff like that, and actually walk together in common cause. Now, for the Satanic Temple, you guys have been working really hard to try to get past the stigma of the Christian ideal of what the Satanic Temple should be. Okay, when we actually participated a year ago, whenever Stu and Michelle wanted to give the invocation at the Phoenix City Council, for example, they were originally said, yeah, sure, okay, and then people got wind of it and flipped out. Kara was on the news, saying that, talking in defense of the idea of the Satanic Temple giving an invocation.
On our anniversary.
Yeah, it was our anniversary, February 2nd. You were on the news.
Oh, wow.
And then February 3rd was the actual city council meeting, which they completely packed with Christians to give testimony.
Yeah,
so it was
I was
nice.
watching. I was watching that.
Did you see me yelling at them about how?
Oh, I watched. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I watched the whole thing. I sat and watched like 6 hours worth of them.
Did you see all the video of Kara rolling her eyes?
My eyes
behind the podium?
Oh, I did.
But the whole idea was just like seriously, it's all you had to do was give them their 2 minutes.
2 minutes, seriously.
2 minutes to give their invocation, and it would have been over with. And instead, the entire Phoenix freaked out. And I testified at the actual city council, and so did some of the other folks. It is one of those things where I think that there's kind of a dawning coming, not a dawning, but an actual awakening, a realization that there are a lot of people that are not represented in government. And many of those people are humanists, Satanists, Satanic Temple folks, atheists, pagans, all of these people that have strongly held religious beliefs that are not being represented by those that swear to uphold the Constitution, which says that the government shall not endorse any specific type of religion. And so that's one of the reasons why we're working on trying to create a secular caucus for the first time in Arizona. But you guys were Utah was the first state to have an actual secular caucus within its Democratic Party. You're never going to see that in the Republican Party because they don't like that kind of shit. But but I've been working and I've been talking with some of the humanists and this, that, and the other here in Arizona to try to build the idea. And I posted it out on Facebook and have gotten tremendous support from the community about creating a secular caucus, because realistically a lot of the problems that we have in our country has to specifically do with dogma. Okay, it's kind of like here in Phoenix. I don't know if you guys have one up in Utah, but here in Phoenix we have the Ten Commandments on the state property. In Alabama they have the state,
which we don't even own.
Yeah, we don't even own our state capital anymore.
I don't even know who the fuck owns it.
No, some private corporation
in like China or Bangladesh or some shit.
But that's one of the beautiful things about the After School Satan's Club and the Satanic Temple as a whole, is that it's bringing to light the actual, idea that the dogma of religion is doing more damage to our country than anything else. Because a lot of our problems that we have in our country is not secular based, it's religious based. When you talk about abortion has backings with religious dogma. A lot of things fall into that category, and it's nice that organizations such as yours and the Satanic Temple here in Arizona and all the other different chapters. We've had Lucian on the show. We've had Finn and Lilith on the show. We've had you on the show because we believe in the importance of the message and the ideology that you're bringing forth to try to break free of the dogma. And so...
Yeah, well, for us it's really an important matter of, just separating that church and state, making very clear the line that should exist and what the Constitution, the whole idea of it, and what it's supposed to be as opposed to what we're dealing with now. So it's not necessarily we're trying to establish or try to fight dogmas in general, because people are free to believe as they will, but it's when it starts blurring the lines of affecting those who would not agree with it. So the issue with any kind of Christian privilege within our laws and within our government, simply it's simply an issue of you cannot uphold these laws and these barrings of individual liberties simply because you believe that they're wrong, but it's not necessarily because it's don't kill somebody. It's a religious opinion. So when it comes to because we've brought up abortion before, TST is not pro-abortion. We are pro-choice. So the reason reproductive rights in general are so important to us because it is a matter of choice as opposed to we prefer one over the other, because we do have a lot of people who identify as atheists or even Satanists who are actually pro-life. And that is just a matter of personal opinion. But where that differs is that you can be somebody who's pro-life and yet understand that you cannot pass laws telling somebody that they cannot make that decision for themselves if that is what is needed in that situation. People understand bodily autonomy. So that is where the issue is you can be pro-life and yet still understand that just because that is how you feel doesn't mean that you have to tell somebody they cannot have that option available to them if that is what that person and their doctor decides is the right thing to do. So that's really what I think the issue is.
Well, when you
think about it, I mean, when we talk about
when you think about it from that point of view, though, I mean, you're talking about, for example, a woman's choice and whether or not it's right for pro-life versus pro-choice. And I think the conversation has gotten so polarized by the media that you can't have an actual conversation about that anymore. And what the conversation should be is that, like Colorado, for example, that provided long-term birth control for people that couldn't afford, that were low income, etc., and reduced their unwanted pregnancy rate by 45% in like the first year or two. And for some reason, people don't seem to understand the idea that pro-choice people aren't pro-abortion. They're letting the person who is making the decisions having the ability to make that decision. And I think what the focus should be is how, if you want to prevent abortion, instead of writing laws to restrict abortion, maybe you should try to find ways to prevent unwanted pregnancies, which cause abortions. Nobody ever wants to have that conversation. And that perturbs me.
I mean, that's, because you have to talk about sex. You have to talk about what sex is, what love is, what all that is, or, you don't have to love the person that has sex with them, but, it's that conversation that people are uncomfortable with having. And so it's a responsibility, if we're talking about, Utah has that issue here where all of our laws are geared towards abstinence. So our sexual education here is very strict in what you can talk about, and it's all abstinence. And for years and years and years,
Arizona. It's the same in Arizona.
Yeah, and because there's just this discomfort about having that conversation and having that education, and so the parents punt that off to the schools, but then the schools are they have to adhere to the law, and the laws are written in a way where it's just like we don't want anyone talking about it, because there's this false idea that this isn't just our sexual health education. This is our liquor laws. This is this odd idea that if you tell a child that something exists, they're automatically going to want to do it. I mean, that's the whole basis of why our sexual education laws are written the way they are, and that's also why we have what's called a Zion curtain. It has to do with our liquor law. Our legislatures actually believe that if a child were to see an alcoholic drink being prepared, like at a restaurant where they're, where they're having food with their family, if they were to see that process, it will make them want to have alcohol. So now everyone who, not bars, but any restaurant that wants to serve alcoholic drinks, they have to build what's called a Zion curtain. And it's a big wall that separates the patrons from the preparation area. all based on this false idea that just because you see it and acknowledge it and it's there means that you're automatically going to want to go out and do it.
So
and that's why I feel like pornography is probably going to be outlawed at some point.
So if you see war and clips